So cool. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name's Katie Deter. I'm the event marketing manager over here at 8Fig. Super excited for this webinar today. We have some really great guests. But first I want to let Moe introduce himself. He's going to be kind of co-hosting this webinar with me. So Moe, if you want to just do a little intro about yourself.
Thank you, Katie. Sure. My name is Moe. I'm here at the Chief of Staff over at the Triple Whale team. Joined shortly after the company launched and always trying to find different ways to provide value to the customers. So super excited to be here together with you and to explore this together.
Yes, looking forward to it. So we have some really, really great panelists today. We have Jackson Jones, who is a founder at Farm to Pet. So thank you so much for being here. We're glad to have you. And then we also have Felix Leshno from Underoutfit. He is the founder there. So we're also really grateful to have him today. Cool. Well, we can, or I guess before we dive in, I do have a couple like housekeeping items. We will be answering questions as we go best we can, and we'll save about 10 minutes at the end for questions. So feel free to use that Q&A box that you see there to drop your questions, and then we will also be monitoring the chat function. So if you just have anything to say or want to ask a question there too, I will also be monitoring that. So I guess we'll get ready to dive in here. Oh, there we go. Oh, Moe, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Katie. Sorry about that. Jackson and Felix, it's great to have you guys. You guys have built really awesome brands, Farm to Pet and Underoutfit. We would love to hear more about your brands, how you got started, and what motivated you to continue building the business.
All right. Well, hey, Felix, you want to go first or you want me to take a shot at it?
No, I'll take a shot at it.
All right.
You go first.
Okay, great. Hey, Jackson Jones, like Katie mentioned, founder of Farm to Pet. We are a single ingredient dog treat company. We have really focused on nutrition for dogs, making it easy, more accessible to order online, healthy food, high in protein, low in fat. And going back to Mo's question, really, we're probably a product, a little bit of the pandemic, like so many other businesses. You know, I had a little bit more time on my hand being at home than typical. I've come from a manufacturing background, spent a lot of time traveling to factories really all over the world, running logistics departments, manufacturing, packaging, et cetera. And when things slowed down during the pandemic, I had an idea for quite some time to try to make a little better dog treat. Our dog Rooney really likes fresh ingredients, and that was something that I experimented with. I had a friend that we do some business together, asked about, hey, could we buy a company, maybe buy another brand, and that's where it kind of kicked off, at least for me, the inspiration to say, hey, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it the way that I think would make sense and resonate with so many other customers with the same types of challenges, trying to find healthy and fun treats for their dogs, and therefore kind of got started on the whole basement experimentation, making it, and fast forward through the pandemic and had a product launched on Amazon initially, and really since then the demand has been there, so it's been a real fun ride.
Love hearing the story about how it was born through a personal pain point you experienced together with your dog and how you're able to begin to build that up on your own and then scale it up. So that's great to hear. Thank you so much. Felix, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, hi everybody, Felix. I'm based in Israel, so this is the accent. So Underoutfit, 2.5 years old company. My background, for many years, I've been an entrepreneur in the retail industry and the high-tech industry as well. Used to be a very big affiliate. Old dream of mine to build a brand from scratch. My last company, basically me and my other co-founders retired from the company about 4 years ago. The company is big, mature, we still own the company, but we had enough as entrepreneurs, we wanted to start something else. I wanted to go into building a brand from scratch, was looking for different products, ideas. I didn't really care what to sell. I'm a marketing guy and a customer experience psychology guy. But so I was looking for the best products I can create, so I can create really a brand and not just a store. Tried many different angles, eyewear, fashion, whatever, and then I met another guy that is an expert in the undergarments industry for many years. He's been working in this industry for 35 years. We had a coffee, and he said he has an American friend that was working in this industry as well, almost 40 years. They've been working against each other. One was the client. The American guy used to be the vice president of Maidenform, one of the biggest American undergarments companies. The Israeli guy is a very famous textile engineer. And he said, just talk to my friend, because we know how to create the best products in the world, but we have zero understanding of the internet. We had one Zoom call. The guy is named Steven. We had one Zoom call, and I said, you know what? Let's start a company together. And then COVID hit. And that's basically for the first 2 years, I never met my American co-founder until last year that I went to New York and we met for the first time face to face, but we started the company over Zoom. And as I mentioned, my co-founders are top world experts in this kind of products. They've been doing that for many, many years. And so we created very good products. Basically, we launched the first campaign in January 2021, been scaling very fast since then with a lot of repeat customers because of the quality of the products. It's really engineered products. We focus on comfort, and with a lot of efforts in the product division and then on the marketing retention division, we created a very high scale wave. This is our third year when everything was on LinkedIn, so I don't mind mentioning numbers. We are on a run rate of 50 million on our third year. So basically, it's a very short version. I can go for longer, but that's the short version of Underoutfit.
I just absolutely love that founding story. Meet a guy, meet a friend, you got to meet this guy, and all of a sudden, after a coffee and over some Zoom sessions, you guys are off to building a company that within 3 years, you're on a $50 million run rate. Felix, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Katie,
Thank you.
That's awesome, guys. Cool. So what are some of the hurdles you faced early on, and how did you overcome those hurdles?
Jackson, go ahead.
Get on mute. Yeah, maybe I can start here. I think it's interesting because Felix talked about his marketing background. I'm the exact opposite, no marketing background, but I come from making things. So making, shipping, packing, moving stuff. And so that part of the process was, as you can see the pictures up here with, we have everyone from, grandpa to my son and daughter, wife was pregnant at the time, all working to make product, so we really, figured out how to make the product first. And I think that was the first hurdle for us, was to say, hey, do we have something that dogs really love, that we feel good about, that we make sure it has long shelf life, that it's palatable, that it's fun, makes a little crack. And that was really the first hurdle. And I was scared to death of, well, if I can make it, can I sell it? and so, that was really for me and for Farm to Pet was, okay, how do we get it out there? So really just did hey, let's call up and let's go visit some pet stores. Let's, try to get someone who knows something about getting listed on, on Amazon. And really kind of started that way to figure out how we get it in front of dogs. And once that happened, you learn a little bit, you figure it out, and you kind of go from there. I've made a ton of mistakes along that side along the way, but it's been one of the most rewarding parts of my career is just to do something that was different for me, on the marketing and sales side and learn as we go along. Because I knew right from the beginning that we had the product. I felt very, very comfortable with that. And I think that just gave the confidence to be able to go out there and reach out and figure out how do we now make it easy to get into people's hands.
I love that. And I love that you started out in your basement kind of as a family affair. I feel like every good business always kind of starts out of the garage or the basement. So love kind of hearing the background of that. Felix, I know you kind of mentioned you're more of the marketing and sales expert. So I'm kind of curious, like the hurdles you faced when you started.
So first, I want to agree with Jackson. I think, again, maybe I'm the marketing guy. So I think marketing is commodity today. the most important part in any D2C brand is the product and the logistics behind the product. I learned it from the last 2.5 years, right? So I've been an e-commerce and a marketing guy for many, many years. It's the first time I'm building a brand with a product from scratch. And that part, I think it's a very important lesson to everybody it's trying to do a D2C brand or start a new one. The product and the logistics behind it is the most important part. So me joining my two co-founders was the best thing happened to the business. But we also have a garage story. So when we started, basically our first shipments were from my co-founder from New Jersey. He lives in New Jersey. He was shipping from his garage, and we scaled so fast, the guy thought he's going to commit suicide. And we launched, again, it was hard for us to find the 3PL at the beginning and stuff like that. So the biggest hurdle we had when we started was growing too fast. Now, I'm a marketing guy, so the first touch is my responsibility, and it's because of me. But then the repeat wave of customers is because of my partners, the product and the quality. So the first hurdle is growing too fast. It creates a flying wheel that we didn't anticipate. The infrastructure that we created wasn't enough. So after the 4th month, our 3PL it's the first guy that agreed to take us on. He just collapsed from the orders and what it creates. And we were sold out quite fast within 3.5 months. It creates a lot of customer support tickets and then refunds, because if they can exchange, people want a refund. And then the 3PL it creates a flying wheel of problems. First of all, make sure your infrastructure is ready to scale. But all of this plus COVID, by the way, I forgot a big hurdle when we started was the COVID. And people think it was a good thing for online, and it was, but not if you are a new brand. It was a very good thing for existing businesses and brands, but it was hard for new brands. Again, not just on marketing side and getting the customers through the door. It's because everything else was very difficult. The logistics of bringing the products from manufacturers to the warehouse, to the customers, warehouse employees were sick, stuff like that. So that was a big hurdle. But selling out too early, like we are out of stock within 3 months, that was a huge, I think for us, it's the biggest problem that we will remember forever. Because as I said, it created a flying wheel of other problems, too many refunds because no exchanges, so refunds went up. But with that, customer support tickets, we had only one customer support agent. We were a young brand. We needed probably 10 at that moment because we got so many emails with complaints. I can't find my size, no exchange, stuff like that. And then the next hurdle was cash flow. When you grow so fast, so growing too fast is a problem. If people say it's a good problem, no, a problem is a problem for a young brand. So it created a huge cash flow problem for us. We solved it with the 8-fig, probably we'll talk about it later, but that was a problem when we started. So cash flow, stock, and logistics are the biggest problems for any brand, I guess.
Thank you for sharing that. I feel like that's really good advice. If there's anybody on here who's listening, who's maybe just starting out, especially in a similar category where, you face returns and that sort of thing. So thank you for sharing that.
We already touched on this a bit, but I'd love to double click and unpack this just a bit more. Felix, you're talking about a customer base. If you can go back one slide, please, Katie. If you can, speaking about customer base, building the customer base and establishing a brand. So Felix, how did you get the customers that made you sell out so quickly? Was it just Facebook ads? What was your initial strategy? How'd you get started? And I know you spoke a bunch about the product and standing out as a product with return customers. We'd love to hear that some more. And then afterwards, over to Jackson, without a marketing background, we'd love to hear from you afterwards how you were able to build all the distribution that you had with the awesome product sitting out of your home. Felix, let's start with you.
So sure. So with any brand, if your strategy and business plan is based on repeating customers, depends on the product, but I think both me and Jackson this is the businesses we have. The product is the most important, the customer service after that. but no customer returns if the product is not good. And I can be the most genius marketing guy in the world and sell, we call it first touch. Basically, we do everything we can to make the customers try it at home. So I can sell a lot of first time orders. The question if they'll come back or not, it's not because I created a very genius email campaign. It's just because the product is very, very good and they want more of it. So the first strategy we used is basically, pour a lot of money, not a lot. We didn't have a lot, but as much as you can, and probably a little bit beyond that, on Meta and TikTok. Back then it was just Meta. We started with Meta. Create ads, do all the things that marketing, test a lot of ads, approaches, and make as many customers as you can try at home. Because if you think your product is good, and if you have, and probably Jackson is the manufacturer, is the guy behind it. My partners know exactly why our products are good. They created it, they designed them. So we were sure the products were good. So on my side was to basically do everything we can to make the customers try it at home. And we started going crazy, doing crazy stuff that nobody else is doing. For example, we're doing it until today. We offer 180 days to return. But more than that, we actually encourage people to return. From day one, we will encourage them from the first purchase is actually to return or exchange the product. I think our average customers on the first order get 4 emails within 10 days asking them to return the product. So we did everything possible to make customers feel safe and try the product at home. We even have on a website saying that like people say that you can return the product if you didn't wear it or wore it or took it off the package. We actually told them wash and wear. You have 180 days. You should wash and wear several times. We understood because our products are tight on the body. Washing is a technical thing that makes them even better. So all of this activity and efforts were to make them try at home. From that point, the second touch is based on the products, and when you had the good product. So our branding strategy is the product. It's not something stories that I can tell as a marketer, and I can. But the product and the quality and the wow factor when they open it at home and try it on their body.
I've never, ever heard of a return policy like that and a strategy to encourage people to return. Felix, I'm blown away. I think we have a master class on that some other time. That's
our return rate is very, very low, by the way. It's not higher than average. It's not. It's a little bit below the average for our category. Even some people say it's very low for the apparel industry. So it did nothing on the return side, only on the conversion for the first time.
For all you participants that are out there, feel free to pop your notes in. If you've ever received an email from a brand that you've bought something from, encouraging you to exchange instead of the opposite, would love to hear. We'd love to hear that experience. And now, Jackson, we'd love to hear from you, how you built up the audience and how you're able to stand out in such a crowded landscape.
Well, yeah, it's very different than what Felix did, just because I think his background in knowing Facebook ads and knowing messaging to customers and how to get to them at scale, I didn't know any of that to start with. So I think one of the techniques was I said, I better get an Instagram account. I wasn't even really on social media. And I just started DMing dogs. Okay, you want to try some treats? Send it to them. We went, again, we kind of went to, coffee shops, local places here to say, hey, would you just, doggy daycares, hey, would you try these treats? You'd bring in a bag of treats and say, hey, here they are, leave them with them and see where those things go. So it was a lot of more, direct one-to-one outreaches. And I was still, still had my day job. I was still trying to make sure that I could sell, because I knew that like Felix mentioned, the return rates were minuscule, if nothing. Dogs really like the treats. And so I was really at the phase of saying, hey, how do I get that? Can I replicate this at scale? And I need to learn a lot more about getting the message out there before we can do it. And that was kind of my learning path, was going down that route. I think getting on Amazon where things are more more systemized, less touch was helpful. But from the production side, I'll also say, similar to what Felix was saying, I did have that background, so I knew that I had to be ready to scale. So very quickly out of the basement, to another location. In the meantime, we were looking to buy a factory, and so since we've purchased a factory in Chicago here, where we have our employees, we make everything, we pack, ship, hold all the product, etc. So I knew that was the pace that we wanted to go from that side. But it was just kind of graduating from that direct one-on-one reach outs to saying, hey, how can we get this? How are other e-commerce brands getting the message out there? And quite frankly, that's still where we're learning, and we have a lot to learn still as we grow as a brand.
It's just great to see with two of you guys here, the difference of the way you built your product, the difference of the way that you're scaling your product, the touch points behind your product. And there's no right and wrong way. Everybody's got to know, all of us here, what the right ways for us, to scale our businesses. But can I ask you just something quick, Jackson, before we move on, is sure. When did you quit your daytime job? Because you're scaling a brand now. Like, at what point did you know that this is it and I'm going all in?
Well, I'm trying to think of timing. I'll just say that there was a point where we've got the demand and we can't just stop making it. I was not going to go out of stock. So the choice was, put all effort into getting a larger facility and make to keep up with the demand that was already there, or say, hey, I need to bring someone else involved into the business at that point, or just say, hey, it's something that's too big. And so I think that was a point. And I'd worked for my employer for a long time, so they're very they were great, so I help consult and do other things to make the transition work for all sides. But I would say that it got to that point, and Felix knows, and as he mentioned, he said that was something that really gave his team fits, going out of stock. That was the one thing that I did not want to do, because, that loses a lot of that customer trust that is so hard to get when you're starting out, when you don't have an established brand or product. And in our case, we were doing something a little bit different. We don't have any other ingredients in our treats. So people are saying, well, how can you do that? You're telling me you don't have any preservatives? And so we were taking a path where some people, just weren't used to that type of product available. So we had to, double down and make sure that trust factor was there as we grew. And as a result, we grew slower. But as we made that leap, it was time to say, hey, let's put a lot more effort into this and start to scale up.
That's awesome. Pass it along to you, Katie.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So were there any moments you had to pivot from your original plan? It kind of sounds like some of you, you've both mentioned a few things here and there, but was there any moment where you're like, wow, I really need to pivot in a different direction?
Felix, you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I can answer that. So yeah, basically because of COVID, actually. So when we started the business, it's not a real pivot, but it's something that we started the business with the idea that we wanted to go into the shapewear category, because it's a very hard category. It was have less competition. But then COVID hit, and shapewear is a going out garment that women wear. Usually they don't wear it at home for when there's no activity, or usually it's something that happens in their regular lives. And because of COVID, no shapewear category, anything was selling at all. So we had to pivot very fast into the bra category, which we plan to do in about 6 months, even a year. And again, so because of the background of my partners, we were able to create our first bra quite fast. And again, it's also their connection and understanding of the manufacturing process. We're able to get it very fast into our 3PLs. And up until now, the bra is our best-selling category. It's not the shapewear. But on that moment, we had to pivot from one idea. Once within a few weeks, we realized shapewear is going nowhere. And we had to create a bra within, I think it was 3 weeks. And then we actually flew it over from, we manufacture in Asia in some factories. We actually manufacture in the same factories, the biggest brand, just because of the connections of my partners. So we had to flew it in, which is very expensive, but we had the product within 4 to 5 weeks. I don't remember exactly. But up until now, this is our biggest category. And from that one bra, we have now many, many different designs. And still, this is now with the business, basically. The bra is 80%, 70% of our sales. Because, well, it's an everyday garment. And basically, it's also changed our strategy going into everyday garments and not specific garments like, so we want also into underwear and other stuff. But that was the pivot. The COVID made us pivot very fast.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I do remember during COVID, like a lot of the focus switched to, how can I be comfortable in my home? So I could see why you kind of went from shapewear more to like everyday, comfortable undergarments. So I think that was a smart pivot.
We actually also changed our slogan, basically, and it's not just a slogan for us. So because as you mentioned, most of the people realize they don't want to do anything with something uncomfortable anymore. Most of the women, even until today, comfort is number one. And what happened with our product, especially with the bra, we started getting a lot of comments. So our first slogan was "Your confidence shows," because we went with shapewear, and that's what shapewear is doing. And then we were like, every second comment, every second email or review was mentioning, "Wow, incredibly comfortable." And that became our slogan. And basically, I remember we had a meeting, and I said to my co-founders, from that moment, you only focus on products that they're doing comfort. And that came from the marketing side, because we were reading these comments. And until now, this is the main focus of the company. We only do products that start with the idea of comfort, and we engineer it from that. So that also was a pivot from us, from slogan to the actual product, from the comments of the people.
Love it. I would love to hear too from you, Jackson, maybe if you at any point were like, wow, I need to pivot from this.
Yeah, I would say ours was less of a product pivot, and it was, probably similar to a lot of people on the Zoom call. Just how do you get to people in a less cost-effective manner on the marketing side, right? So whether it's Facebook, trying to try different things on obviously on Google, TikTok, organic, email, SMS, etc. So really, there's a lot of pivoting there. I would say the one area that probably was a change from when I started to now was just understanding how critical the supply chain is for us. We have product that is easily breakable, and I'll just get an example here. So we started out without the capability with a 3PL. And honestly, they just couldn't, keep up, and maintain the product the way that we want to. We bubble wrap our product, we put it in a bubble mailer, okay? And we want to make sure it arrives without crushed chips. So if you ordered potato chips, just like anything else, in just a brown bag, you're gonna see them smashed. We don't do the blow it up with air thing in the bag, right? So ours are pretty full of actual treats. Anyway, so we did make a pivot to bring that in-house much earlier than what we anticipated due to the nature of the product. And I think that unlocked a lot of other things that we can do now as a brand, with special marketing inserts and just really kind of keeping up with our customers and knowing them at a much more intimate level. Hey, we can, when am I going to get this? Well, we know every day, what's been shipped, et cetera. And so that was a move. And I think with that move, we did end up bringing more things in-house from a marketing standpoint than what I initially thought of, production. So I know there are break points that it does make sense to go and outsource, but I think for us, learning the lesson that you really need to understand these aspects and make sure what is required, whether it's the shipping side or whether it's certainly reaching your right customers before you get too aggressive on, outsourcing it to a third party. It's just very expensive that way, especially when you're starting up.
Yeah, it's really interesting to kind of hear the difference. And like you both had different, you both had to pivot at one point, but sort of in different realms. So it's really interesting to kind of see the two.
So what I'd like to ask is, you guys are rock stars. You built amazing companies and you're role models, I'm sure, to so many people. Tell us something that you don't exactly talk about publicly all that often. Tell us a time where you failed, and not just Facebook ad that didn't work. I mean like something significant that we can all learn from, and it becomes, your stories become a bit more relatable, and then it can all give a bit more of real life inspiration to us to build the companies we all want to build.
Well, I could start off with one, Felix, here. I think, and this maybe goes a little bit to the 8 Fig, story was, when you're in a more established business, you see, the P&L, you see numbers coming in and going, you can look at your cost of goods, you can really understand. I have a pretty strong background in understanding, businesses and their financials. When you're in a startup, for the first time for me, you don't realize how quickly you're going to burn through cash and how unpredictable it can be. And that's even when we're making product, right? But, we have to make more product than we need, so we can sell later. And you got to pay your employees first. You're paying for your facility, you're paying for all those things before that customer sale comes in. And that doesn't go away as you scale. And Felix can probably talk about that because they've had a very high ramp. And I think that component of the business really made me, it was really discouraging to me, initially thinking, oh, I have a handle on it. And I, write down some stuff on a spreadsheet or a piece of paper and think, hey, in 6 months, here's where I'll be in a year. And then to come to find out, 2 months later, you're very far off from there. And what you really need is more cash, and you need more inventory. You need more equipment to make that, and you need another investment in this and this and this. And so I think that was, to me, was kind of a challenge I don't talk about much because it was something you just get through and you deal with. But it was very stressful in the startup days when you're trying to move and get a building and buy all the equipment that we need to go operate. And you look at your checking account just going boom, 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 boom down. And, you're not going to get a traditional bank loan, and those things are very difficult. So I think that was what opened me up into different ways with looking at, other ways to get funding coming in, knowing that the sales would be there. I'm not making stuff that's not going to sell. I just need to change the order of when we get the cash to be able to make sure that scales and whatnot. And so, and I think without the steady income of your day-to-day job too, that's another thing that you wake up to pretty quickly and say, hey, you got to make this. You're going to make this. You got to sell it next week. You got to sell it. And so that pressure, I think, was something that I wasn't necessarily anticipating to happen as intense and as quickly as it did. And so I would say that would be one thing that at least for me, that I don't talk about too much because it's not that fun, but it's so necessary when you're trying to, whether you're buying your product, whether you're building yourself, to make sure that you have the availability so you can satisfy your customers and you can scale at the rate that you need to.
Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate the vulnerability. So many brands, of course, have the struggles with cash flow, and it's good to hear it from the inside what that was like for you and how you were able to solve that problem at that point as well. Felix, let's hear the juicy details.
So we fail every day, basically. I can tell you that as a serial entrepreneur, and I have this theory, psychological theory, that serial entrepreneurs, that's what they love about the business, the failing part. They're really in love with failing every day, every try, because again, you grow on all these cliches, but the cliches are right because the excitement, maybe it's an adrenaline thing, from going from failure to a success just because you did a pivot, you changed something, you learned something, is very addictive. And basically, most of the things we do is exaggerated in order to fail or half fail or some kind of failure inside because the learning is fast. So, for example, as I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. It's not my first, it's not even my fourth business. But up until now, I never had to raise funds for my business. All my other businesses were scaling and organically growing. And I have one really big business with many, many employees, 120 employees, offices all over the world. But I never had to raise funds. And one of my goals when I started this business was to raise funds because I never did it. And I felt that as an entrepreneur, I'm lacking the knowledge or the experience. And And to be able to call myself an entrepreneur, I thought, again, I'm not sure it's right, that I had this experience. At least one of my businesses, I raised money. So we didn't do it yet. We're doing it right now. We're learning, but we fail and a lot of stuff that all connected. So as I said at the beginning, we chose the wrong 3PL. We grew too fast because we weren't ready with the infrastructure. Campaigns on Meta, TikTok, and any other social platform or any other Google. Every day we have failures like that, and it costs a lot of money. By the way, it's painful failures, but each failure like that. So I don't have anything juicy, really juicy, but our second year we lost money. And on this year, we're gonna be break even or profitable. So second year, is it a failure? I'm not sure. This business-wise, it's not considered a failure from the financial stand of view. This is how you grow a business. You take debt, you loans and stuff like that. But for example, so this year it's a success, right? Because it's our third year, we're in a high scale and we're gonna be profitable. So it's very hard to say a failure as a dead end. It's just a phase of almost a daily activity that we have. So I don't have any juicy details because it's a daily thing. Every day I see ads or ideas that I had that weren't successful. I see customer support tickets that were answered wrongly, and it drives me crazy. And then we change the scripts and how the customer agents handle it. So we fail on a daily basis, even on an hourly basis. But I think, at least for me, it's a big part of the fun of the ride. Because from each fail, as I said, it's maybe addiction. It's the adrenaline of the success after the failure. So I have nothing big. It's every day.
Yeah, I would just say to add on to what Felix was mentioning, he's had many go rounds at this, and so me being more new to it, that is something you get used to, and it is I do enjoy that because you try something, it works, it doesn't, you can pivot quickly, and when you're small and you're nimble and you kind of know what's going on, it's great to try things, whether it's a software, whether it's a marketing approach, whether it's some other type of sale that you thought was going to be great and it didn't work, whatever it might be. It allows you to kind of react much more quickly. So that's been a real fun part, but it does take some getting used to, because if you're not prepared to see a customer unhappy or to have something, your plans completely go sideways immediately, then it can probably be a tough road for some folks.
By the way, our biggest failure is UGC. You have a picture here of one of our UGC. So we never had a success with campaigns. We have UGC success, but I'm talking about white labeling. People in marketing understand it when you take somebody else's account and you advertise. Everybody says it's the best thing. We never had a success. It's a big failure for me personally. And up until now, I wasn't be able to make it success with a lot of help from a lot of experts. So if you want a juicy one, it's not juicy enough, I think, but that's a failure.
That's why I included it in there, because I did want to ask about UGC. So good to know it was a failure, but
it's a great content, but we never were able to whitelist, to create a good campaign with whitelisting from the creator's account, create ads. Never was successful for us until now. Maybe one day. I'm sure eventually I'm going to be successful.
Sorry, I was muted. Moving along. So what data and analytics, and customer insights play a role in shaping your business decisions? I think it's kind of a two-part question, because I think the next one's a little bit more about platforms, but maybe you can talk a little bit about the analytics here.
So,
all right. Well, I'm on the left here. I'll
go ahead.
I'll just kind of mention that this is something you grow into. And I think there's such great tools now, obviously, Triple Whale being one of them, where you can really understand, through all the noise of all the numbers and sales, et cetera, where you stand. And you can look at a time period, whether it's a week, a day, an hour, and say, hey, am I doing better or worse? And then analyze that. And so I think, for us up in the top left, that's kind of my little dashboard of seeing how we're doing. At the top is, how much does it cost to acquire a new customer? new customer acquisition, how many new customer orders are we getting in every day? And that really kind of tells me the overall effectiveness of our marketing and our campaigns that we have. Because, we do feel good about our product, that people will come back for that second and third order, but how do you get them to try that first time? And what is it costing you? So that's one area where, we really focus on, and we're also putting a lot of energy towards making sure those people that ordered the third time, feel good about, where their money's going, and their dog enjoys what we're bringing to the table, and et cetera. So there's always that work to keep your customers happy, but that can't happen unless you get new people into the door. And so that's really been a focus for us, and the tools are great to be able to see that and understand, where your spend is, and to make sure things aren't going off the rails, or if they're working, to be able to double down fairly quickly on those things.
Yeah, it's really nice to have, like one dashboard where you can kind of monitor all of those things, and like you said, get some new doggy customers. Felix, I'm interested to hear a little bit about, some analytics you look after, and how you use those for your business.
So first of all, I think I've been one of the early clients of Triple Whale. AJ, the founder, mentioned something on Twitter. It was 2 years ago. I think before Triple Whale became such a big thing. And because analytics for anyone that is doing any business online, by the way, it doesn't have to be e-commerce or D2C. And I have other businesses, I said, the reports are our daily bread and water, basically. So I'm addicted to refreshing. Right now, it's been for a long time, the Triple Whale dashboard. So I'm really addicted to the refreshing part. So I do it like several times a minute sometimes. And I spoke to some people, and I explained to them that before I started my previous company, which I still own, but it's became very big, it's corporate. And the thing I was missing more than anything else was the refreshing the reports and seeing the numbers change whenever you hit the refresh button. So Triple Whale was the most amazing thing happened to me when it happened, because before that I was looking at Shopify and Google Analytics and like 3 different platforms, maybe even more. And then I spoke with the AJ, I remember then, and the guys had a store, and we understood each other immediately. And when they gave me access, I was addicted from second one, especially for the which now it's called pins. Back then it was just the first page. So the most important analytics and KPIs I look at on a minute, on an average every minute, or let's say 5 minutes. Let's not make me creepy. Every 5 minutes. To be honest, it's just for you to understand. I have 2 screens here. I'm looking at one. On the second one is Triple Whale dashboard, and it's updating by itself, so I can see the numbers as I speak. It's an addiction. But the new customer cost is the main thing I look at, and then the returning customers. Again, it's not something you need to look on a 5 minutes average. It's something you have to look, let's say, once, few times a day, and then weekly and monthly, and all the things that you do. But this is the main things I look at, because again, as Jackson said, the cost of new customers is the most important part. We pay for advertising. Maybe it's other brands that don't have to pay. It's not their main KPI, but that's affects everything. And then the returning customers is also an indicator for me if we in the right path or something is not working, because we have a high return rate, customer return rate, because of the products, as I mentioned. And if it goes down, we have to understand. So we launch a lot of new products, new features, and that's how we track if customers are happy with the new things. And then there's other indicators, of course, but it's the easiest ways to do it through Triple Whale. We see red alerts or anything else in that, but mostly I'm looking at the amount of the revenue basically changes every minute that I hit refresh, and the new customer CPA. And
Felix,
I'm addicted. That's the.
Felix,
No shame about it, but I'm addicted.
Look, coming from the Triple Whale team, it's the best addiction I could hear of. What you mentioned though is that it's launched by eComm operators, so this is a tool they wish they had sitting in your seats, and therefore that's kind of what we want to do. We always to build
so
around
perfect.
customers.
You have no idea.
Happy to hear that. Moving along
Discovering it was perfect.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So before we go over to the next question, there's a few questions in the chat that I want to address because some of them are related to some past slides that we just went through. So the first one's from Nathan. And this, it looks like it's kind of for both of you. So Nathan's asking, what has been the most effective marketing mediums for your business? You mentioned Meta, TikTok, Google, Amazon, and what is your percent spend on social media right now?
You want to take a first shot at that, Felix? And I can explain
So
for us.
yes, before I started this business and before I started my previous business, I used to be a very big e-commerce affiliate. I used to work with Zappos, eBay, HomeClick, Musician Friend, all the biggest brands. And back then it was Google. And I'm talking like 10 years ago, even more a bit. And I used to be very big and I used to be a Google guy. When I went back to e-commerce, Meta was the thing. And I think up until today, Meta and TikTok and the social media are the best platforms for discovery of new brands. So I had to learn it from scratch when we started Underoutfit because I used to be a Google guy. But if you understand the consumer, if you think about it, so Google, you go into Google and you tell Google what you want to find. And you basically say in your words to Google, and Google finds you the answers and basically. But if you think about Meta, nobody goes into Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram with the idea they want to buy something. They go to be entertained, not bored, looking at friends and family pictures, stuff like that. And yet, all of us buy from Meta, TikTok, and Instagram. So this is the best platforms for discovery. I think we won't go into the algorithm and understanding how the algorithm works, but understanding the psychology of the consumer. This is the best places to be discovered by the consumer because there's a very smart, beyond smart algorithm involved, knows exactly what the consumer going to be responsive better for. So that's the platforms.
Yeah, I would just echo that. I'll be real quick, but Meta's been great for us, Instagram, Facebook, simply because what Felix mentioned, someone may not know that they need or want a single ingredient dog treat, but once they see that or see the images of what that can do or how that's different than what maybe they're experiencing today with their pup, then they get curious, and some of those people, because it's such a large platform, ultimately come over and make a first purchase.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Moving right along. So are there any specific tools or platforms you're using to support your online business? You touched on a few things, but if there's like a specific, I know we have the 8Fig Line Lab here, or any other platforms. Jackson, if you want to kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a learning experience going through lots of platforms. Shopify is really the base for us, for our e-commerce world. So plugins with Shopify are something that we're looking at. But you've got all the the advertising platforms and the triple whale to see the overview. We have some fulfillment and manufacturing side platforms as well. And then there's just lots of reach out, email, with Klaviyo and SMS, and then just keeping all your social media fresh is always a challenge. So there's, if you start to list them out, the list is very, it seems small to begin with, but it's a very long list of platforms.
Yeah, so basically, I think it's the average tag that most of the people have: Shopify, Triple Whale, 8Fig. Like in the image that you are showing, we use 8Fig. When we started, 8Fig didn't have this ability, but now they do. So we manage what we call lines inside. People that don't have experience with 8Fig, don't understand what it means, but it's basically another way for us to track the inventory and what's going to arrive when, and what is going to cost us, the payments and stuff like that. So we use 8Fig not just as a working capital partner, also as an inventory planning platform. It's one of these things, but it's for us, all the other things is really average. It's Shopify, Klaviyo, Triple Whale, that's it. Google Analytics, and that's it.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing, guys.
In 60 seconds or less, what advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out, who's thinking about launching an e-commerce brand? Jackson, kick us off, 60 seconds.
Just get started with something that you're interested in. I think if you have a product or service that you think is valuable and there is a market out there. So I think it starts with that, and to get started and be prepared to fail and pivot. But it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding once you get moving.
That's awesome. Felix, you're up.
So I think my advice is don't get advice from a webinar in 60 seconds. I think it's the best advice. Just learn a bit, try to understand the market, and giving you advice in 60 seconds, except of just do it. There's nothing else that I can say because we're talking about serious businesses. But if anything, really, if it's a D2C business, put focus on your product. Everything else will be successful after that. The product, the logistics is the most important part.
Great, thanks guys. So tell us about your future plans and goals for Farm to Pet and Underoutfit. And then we'll get to Q&A. Sneak peek there.
Yeah, I don't think for us it's just doing more of the same. You know, we want to make it easier, you know, and less costly for more dogs to experience our treats. And so whether that's improving the marketing side, you know, we do have some new products that we'll be launching next year that are different proteins, and then also different, you know, single ingredients. But we want to stay true to what we're doing, and we think there's just a lot of room to continue to grow in this space and make sure that we're selling the value that we're bringing, to those dogs.
Awesome.
Well,
What about you, Felix?
Well, for us, yeah, and more products. We have a long book, a big book of products that we're going to be launching. We're actually going to be launching every 10 days new products or color. But we're also going to be launching a new brand, an activewear brand, very soon, few weeks, and that actually came. It's also relates to the questions before. We have activewear and Underoutfit, but what we noticed is that the algorithm of the social media sends us the same customers that are interested in our bras, and it's a bit older audience. So once you understand that you are a D2C online e-commerce brand, you're dependent on the social media, you have to understand the algorithm. So we said we're going to create a new brand out of this activewear category on Underoutfit, and we're actually going to be launching a new activewear standalone brand by itself. On a store by its own with a new brand name. Same products we have on Underoutfit right now. We already created them, designed them, and manufactured them, but we're going to be launching it as a standalone brand. So that's in the coming weeks. We're going to have another brand, and we have plans for third brand, which I'm not going to disclose yet.
We'll have to keep an eye out for that one.
And Katie, I missed probably the most exciting thing for us will be, in the short term this year. Think Halloween, trick or treat, think, Thanksgiving dinner, think, the holidays. So we got some really cool, packaging and other type of products, to launch in the busy season this year. So we've been really, learning all throughout the year and being prepared to have a really, really fun and engaging, fourth quarter. So starting off with Halloween. So if you, right before that time period, if you're looking for something to give to the dogs, they usually don't do well with M&Ms and Snickers. So we hopefully have something that'll be fun, for all them to visit.
Yeah, I have a Great Dane and a Golden Retriever who would very much love some Halloween chicken chips. So awesome, thanks guys. So we've moved on to the Q&A. So if you want to submit your questions in the Q&A or in the chat, we'll go through those now. While we're doing the Q&A, I will have all of these QR codes on the screen. So you can check out Farm to Pet, Underoutfit, and then 8Fig and Triple Whale. So we'll go ahead and dive into some questions. There's some in the chat here. So we have one question from, looks like Kenny, and he says, do you have any success with any UGC that wasn't white labeled and under your brand? This one's probably geared towards Felix from a previous slide, but Jackson, if you have any UGC experience too, feel free to chime in.
So yeah, we have a lot of success with UGC as content, not under white label. As a content, this is our main content, basically. So we have a lot of success. I'm not saying it's not an important channel. It's something that it's most of our creatives coming from UGC, but it's as a content creators, UGC. We also found out, at least from our experience on our brand, that the professional creators create very good content, but we also have a channel where we approach our customers and ask them to be UGC creators, and that also works very well. So yeah, as a UGC category, it's very good and important for us. Not just as a white label, it's not successful. Just to be clear.
Yeah, I would just add for us, we have UGC. It's a big part of our content. If you go look at our Instagram, and we have an affiliate program that we just recently launched, as well as a top dog group that we have as ambassadors. And so we have a lot of things that are helping to make a community. And so whether that results directly into sales, it's always hard to tell. But for us, it's about building that kind of community out there on these platforms, and so UGC is really one of the main pillars of doing that.
Great, thanks, guys. Let's see. Someone asked, question for Felix: what is your CPA for Underoutfit, and what do you do you measure LTV?
So yeah, we definitely measure LTV. It's just not something I refresh every minute, but we definitely measure LTV. Again, we are a very young brand. I think Jackson's the same. LTV is basically for us is a yearly LTV, lifetime value of the customer, because we don't have a lot of data. And our CPA, our CPA depends. There's two CPA, the NCPA, the new customer CPA, and what they call the blended CPA. So it's a big difference between them because we have a high rate of repeating customers. So our new customer CPA, we started even a year ago, it was in 75. And right now we at 55. So we improved it a lot and scaled up during the process. That's a unique thing, I know. And so our CPA is 55. Our average order is we basically not profitable on the first order. We do make the cash back on the media, but it's not profitable on the first order. This is part of our model. But we are break even on the customer after 2 months right now. It's 3 to 2 months, and it's getting better. So the repeat customers from that moment were profitable, and on our LTV of the customer, we are profitable. We measure that, and this is our CPA.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we have 2 more questions. So this one, we can start with Jackson for this one. What criteria do you look for when you're selecting products to sell?
Yeah, ours is really one of the reasons we formed the business was we wanted single ingredient. So we wanted to be as close to what a dog would eat in their natural environment, and the highest quality of that that product too. So whether it's our turkey or chicken, we've done other things with beef, venison, etc. So any product that we're going to bring is going to make sure that it's simple, and it's in its most true format that we can get in a way to those pups.
Awesome, thank you. Felix, you have any advice on that one?
Sorry, I'm not sure I remember the question. Can you ask it again?
Just what criteria, do you look at when you're selecting a product to sell?
So again, for us, it was always the quality. Now we focus on comfort, but that quality is big part of that. I would say that if your product is not a repeat customer product, I would look if it will make customers tell others about that product if you don't have this repeatability. Anyway, the first purchase should make your audience grow from the product, not just from the campaign. So either you have repeat customers, or the customers are so amazed, they're going to tell others about the customers, or actually both. We have both. So the thing I'm looking at the product is if somebody will buy it and come back and buy it again, basic.
Perfect. Cool. And then our last question, kind of a funny one. It says, unusual question for Felix. Did Under Armour ever bother you about saying it's too close?
It's not the first question. It's not the first time I heard this question. So no, they didn't. And when we started the company, and of course, we thought about it, and everybody else that heard the name about thought about it. But we registered the trademark as one word. It's Under Armour is 2 words. Under Outfit is 1 word. Sometimes people write it as 2 words, and I insist it's 1 word. It's a brand by itself, and it's not Under Outfit. Yeah, it sounds Under Outfit, and it's a generic term for what we do. But the brand is 1 word, Under Outfit, which we created. And good luck for Under Armour. Come and try to get it from us.
Love it. Cool. I'm going to kick it over to Mo. He's going to just talk about kind of the 8Fig and Triple Whale partnership a little bit more before we wrap up the webinar.
Sure, just in about 60 seconds here, just want to thank everybody here, but it's great to see Jackson and Felix leveraging both the Triple Whale platform, leveraging 8Fig for funding as well. Capital, as you see, I just posted it to the chat, capital, data, and that equals scale for your brands. That's the goal. We would love to offer you guys a tremendous opportunity. I'm going to kick this into the chat now here as well, that if you take funding from the 8Fig team, then you will get an annual deal to Triple Whale. There's some terms behind that, but if you can fill out a quick form here, the 8Fig team will get back to you. And if you're looking to get an annual deal for free to Triple Whale, please take your funding from 8Fig and let's scale together. It's great to have you guys here, and thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mo. And thank you again, Felix and Jackson. Really appreciate you being here. We hope to do this again soon, and good luck with everything.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.